Hey, here is my side-by-side comparison of what happens when you take the exact same prompt and you run it through Anthropic, OpenAI, and Gemini. What that prompt is doing is, number one, we are fetching artwork directly from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So the Met, also known as the Metropolitan Museum of Art, has an API that is open to the public. It's free and open source, and you can fetch artwork directly from this API and showcase it on your site or your app. We're also going to take all that artwork and display it on a Masonry-style grid. We're going to preserve the original aspect ratio of each artwork since they all come in different dimensions. We're going to make sure that when we hover over each item, we show artist name, artwork title, and creation date. We're also going to include a refresh art button so that users can fetch new items every single time they press that button. We're only displaying 9 items at a time. And we're not integrating a Supabase database. We're not integrating any kind of database. And we are only going to use local storage for this, where users can save, view favorites, and remove these items from their favorites list. I also included this last sentence here, which says, make this visually engaging with an outside-of-the-box design that is award-winning. And I purposely made this sentence very ambiguous for the AI because I want to see what these 3 models do in terms of design and stylistic decisions. So the first model we are going to judge is Anthropic. So on the left-hand side here, you can see that we have the one-shot prompt, and that is the only thing we've done on this project. So far, I can see that Anthropic did a great job at fetching all 9 items. It also, from a design standpoint, it added this, blur effect. The navigation bar stays with you the entire time you're scrolling, so it's sticky, it's fixed. And let's see, in terms of features, how it did. So first of all, I can hover over each item, and we see that there's a artwork title, we have the artist name, and the creation date. So far, that's been pretty consistent. I can also save these items. And as I'm saving them in my local storage, it's showing a countdown of how many items I've favorited so far. Then when I go to favorites, I can see that all these items have been saved, and I can remove them from here. Now to test local storage further, I'm going to keep these 2 items. I'm going to take one step back. And we can see that every single time this is fetching from the API, it has a little loading animation, which I didn't ask for in this prompt, but Anthropic went ahead and added that to the project. So now I'm going to add a few new projects here. A few new items. I'm going to go to favorites again. Now I see that I have 5 items that I've added, including the previous ones from the previous fetch. And I can go ahead and clear them all. And there you have it. I think Anthropic did a great job. Every single feature that was requested has been completed here. And from a design perspective, it also surprised me here with some of its design decisions here. The next model we're going to test is OpenAI. So again, on the left-hand side, we can see it was a single prompt that was shared with Lovable. And from a design perspective, it's a similar background to what we saw with Anthropic. It's using gradients. We can see here that there is no navigation bar. We have the refresh button, we have favorites. Here, if I hover over each item, I can see there is a artwork title, artist name, and creation date. I can also favorite them. And I'm not seeing a countdown here of how many items I've added to favorites, but I can see that they're highlighted over the item, which is different from what Anthropic was doing. Now let's see if local storage is working. So when I click on view favorites, we get this little pop-up where I can see all the items I've added so far, and I see a countdown there with 3 items. I can also remove a few of them. I'm going to keep this one, and we're going to see if local storage is still working when I fetch new items. So we're going to click on refresh art. And here we have a new set of items. We're seeing 9 in total. And if I go ahead and favorite them and then go to view favorites, now I can see that the new items that I added are displaying correctly, and I can go ahead and remove them. So from a technical standpoint, OpenAI also pretty much followed that prompt. It has all the technical features that I requested. And also design-wise, I think it did a pretty decent job. I was not expecting a pop-up here. It was supposed to be its own page. But this is a nice, pleasant surprise, the way the pop-up was designed and how convenient it is to see it on the same page here. So I'll give some extra brownie points to OpenAI for doing that. I'm not too impressed with how the nav bar came out. But other than that, we are good on everything else. Now, the final model we're going to test out is Gemini. So again, on the left-hand side, we can see that it was a single prompt that was shared with Lovable. And I can see that we're fetching all 9 items. When I hover over each one, I can see artwork title, artist name. In this case, it's showing unknown artist, but that is something that you'll see with a lot of these art pieces that are fetched from the Met API. They don't know who the artist was initially. But if I go to some of these other ones, hopefully, let's see if I can find one with an artist name. Here you have it. Here we have artwork title, artist name, and creation date. Now let's see if the favorite and local storage functions work. So I'm going to hover over the item and I'm going to add that to my favorites. I'm seeing a little toast notification confirming that. So that's great. Then if I click on view favorites, so here we're seeing that there's only one item that was fetched. We're not seeing the other 2. If I click on the trash icon, it does not remove it. Even though it's telling me that it's been removed, we're still seeing it on here. And if I go back to gallery and let's say I hit refresh. So I fetched 9 new items. Let's try to add a few of these to our favorites. I'm not seeing a countdown here either of how many items I've added to favorites. And when I go to favorites, I'm seeing that it looks like it only added 1 new one and removed everything that was before that. So that means that local storage is not working correctly with this model. One thing I noticed is with Gemini, I ran this same prompt 3 times before I recorded this because I noticed that it kept getting the favorite and local storage option wrong. So it looks like that is one limitation with Google's one-shot prompt capacity is it doesn't seem to get everything correct from the get-go. Also, from a design standpoint, it kept it very, very, what I would say, low effort. You don't really see too much going on design-wise. It's a very basic black, dark theme background. The buttons here are not as animated as, for example, Anthropic had them. So I think so far I am not impressed at all with what Gemini came up with from a design standpoint and also from the technical requirements I had asked for. So as part of this comparison, I also took, when I go to dev mode, I copied the index file for each of these projects and I pasted that index file into Claude. And the reason I did that was so that we could analyze exactly from a technical standpoint how these models approach the same prompt going off of only that one index file. So based on Anthropic's final conclusion here, these are the main points that it highlighted. Number 1, it's saying that Anthropic built everything in one place. So what this means is that the entire project is mostly built within one component, which the downside is that could create challenges when it comes to scalability and expanding upon this project. Now, I'm assuming that Anthropic did this on purpose because it was a simple project. It was a one-shot prompt. So I'm sure that if I would have explained things differently or my intentions were different, then perhaps it wouldn't have just built everything within the same component. Then we're seeing that OpenAI organized the code nicely. It separated what it says here, the complicated stuff. I did ask Claude to use layman terms so that I could explain this more easily on this video. But it sounds like it did break things up into different components. And it's saying that downside is that because they're mixed, it could also run into the same issues with Anthropic if we decide to scale. Now, with Gemini, it says that it followed best practices in general. It says that as a downside, it did overcomplicate things. Now, I'm not sure if I agree with Claude's conclusion here about Gemini because it's saying that everything was properly organized and that it followed best practices. But as we can see on the Gemini project, there were still a lot of things missing from the technical requirements. So as a conclusion, I think that Anthropic really did the best job out of all 3 models, followed closely by OpenAI, who also did a pretty decent job. But I think from a design standpoint, I definitely will give brownie points to Anthropic. And they are the winner.